Hi, everyone. In this screencast, we're going to talk about revising your work. How do you go back, look at your work, and improve it? One of the things you need to keep in mind and remember is the process. Before we write, we pre write. We think about what we want to say, the purpose, the audience. We keep these things in mind and we make notes. Then we write our first draft. We use our pre-writing notes or our outline in order to help us with the draft. Then we go and we read it again and we revise and we make changes and we revise and we make changes. And when we think the content is just about perfect, we go to refine. And that's where we look at the spelling, vocabulary, capital letters, the mechanics, grammar, all of those things. And it's only when we're sure that it's just perfect that we're ready to send it. However, sometimes we stop here and we let it sit or we give it to a friend to look at, and we actually need to say, okay, we need to look at this again. And we read it again, and sometimes we say, wait a second, there's a problem here, a problem with the organization. So we may go back to pre-writing. We may redraft. We may revise. We may refine. Sometimes we're here and we'll go back and forth, revise, refine, until we're ready to go on. In your case, you have feedback. You have feedback from your instructor, and that instructor has given you pointers or pointed out where there are problems with your writing. Could be in the format, could be in the content, could be in the language. And you can use that feedback to help you improve your writing. So, how do you do it? Well, one of the things that you need to do is go back and read the instructions for the assignment and make sure you've actually understood it. It's getting and identifying that general big problem. It's the same kind of thing that, let's say, your boss says, write an email to, write a memo about, write a letter to, that you make sure you really have understood what he or she wants. If it's a memo, remember that it doesn't begin with a greeting. If it's an email or a letter, we'll make sure that that's the correct greeting. Dear Mr. Smith or Dear Sarah. And the signature. If it's a memo, there's no signature. If it's an email, then you also need the signature, and then you have to make sure, is it written correctly? Does it have my job title in it? And make sure that the memo or the letter or whatever it is has a business-like tone, even if it's to someone you know very well. It's not a personal letter to a work colleague or anybody else you know. So, once you've got the general problems, then you need to look at the specific problems. And use the feedback. Good sentence, but you need supporting information. Well, that tells you you've got the main idea, but you're missing information. Prove that main point. Run on sentence, there's more than one idea. Divide. You may have a conclusion, but that's not the way to end an email or a memo. Your call for action. And if there's a language issue, pay attention. There may be something. Do you mean cut or cut back? Do you mean mail? I'll send it by mail, or I'll send it by email. And sometimes the problem is with grammar or sentence structure. You're translating directly from your native language, and that will sometimes cause a problem where your meaning is unclear. So how do you do it? Well, this is just a suggestion. You don't want to take that piece of paper and ball it up and throw it out. There's some good stuff, probably more good stuff than problematic stuff. So you might want to highlight or underline the information you want to keep. It doesn't mean it's the whole sentence, but the information. Or you can cross out the information that's not relevant, and then you're back to pre-writing again. This is the information I want to keep. Organize your key points, and always remember the business formula: opening, middle, and closing. Opening has the purpose of the email. The middle has all the meat, the main points, and the closing is that call for action. Again, it introduces a subject, it's your purpose, expands, call for action. And then you begin to go back for your revision. And you read it aloud. Sometimes you hear mistakes. Is it logical? Does it follow the business formula? Are all my key points supported or continued? Will the reader understand my message? How will the reader feel when he sees my message? The tone. Is it too aggressive? Is it apologetic? Is it condescending? And look at the letter or the email or whatever it is and say, are there paragraphs or is it a list of sentences? If it's a list of sentences, go back and put them in paragraphs. And yes, writing's tough. It means writing and rewriting and writing and rewriting and rewriting and rewriting. So now you need to think about the refining. And actually, the refining is what the reader sees first. It's the vocabulary, it's the grammar, it's the spelling, it's the punctuation. Before they actually read what you've written, they see it. And if there are a lot of mistakes, it will make that very, very negative first impression, and the rest of the message may not get read. So read the letter aloud. Does the grammar sound right? Is a word missing in the sentence? Does it follow the format of a memo, an email, or a letter? Capital letters. Are names correctly spelled? Um, Sorry there. Oh, sorry about that little glitch. And use words for last of all to help you. Those red squiggly lines under the words, it shows you the spelling mistake. Right click, see what it is, use a dictionary, make sure it's not misspelled. Green squiggly lines, grammar mistake. Use that to help you. And now it's your turn. There are a few questions for you to answer, and now you're ready to revise your work.